Hello, Professor Nielsen. My name is Oscar Dionicio-Ortega, and today I'm going to be talking about our midterm exam. I do apologize if I do mumble and stutter. Um, I have a little difficulty in speaking, especially when I'm nervous, so I apologize beforehand. Um, so back to our midterm, I want to talk about our midterm exam. Um, how we as human beings know nothing when it comes to discussion, when it comes to talking, or when it comes to claiming that we know something. And so, can we ever actually know, or can we actually find an absolute truth of a question? You know, what is our reason to exist? And how can we find that reason of our existence? So, questions. So, questioning ourselves, questioning our concepts, objects, and ideas, our theories, our stuff. It is essential to understanding. It is essential to finally reach knowledge. So let me clear up, or let me start off with the Socratic method. So what Socrates did was, or you know what Socrates did. He questioned a lot of people, a lot of leaders, a lot of sophists, and when he questions them, they would answer. And once they have an answer, he would question that answer, and then they would find an answer to that question, and therefore he would ask another question. And so it's this endless cycle of question answer, question answer, question answer, question answer. But what does that do to us? What does that do for us as the person being asked that question, or what did it do for the sophists and the leaders? It probably pissed them off, you know. It probably like, oh damn, you know, and like, how's he gonna make me look bad in front of others? But I think, or yeah, I think is to encourage them to encourage them deeply think about what they know or what they claim to know, so that they have a better understanding, and to find the absolute truth, to find the absolute answer to those questions. What it is to be, or the virtue, or yeah, the virtue of an object, the virtue of that answer, the absolute truth, or yeah. So now, virtue is, it means to have a certain sort of excellence based on what the book says, or to do a task correctly. So in the example of the knife's reason of existing is to cut. And so we question ourselves, what is our reason of our existence as human beings? Can we human beings actually be virtuous? Plato states yes. uh, yes, we can find virtue. Yes, we can understand what it means to be virtuous. Socrates states that virtue and knowledge are one the same. In order to understand virtue, you must be knowledgeable. Because once we're knowledgeable, or once we're aware, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do this on my head, but it's too much. I'm sorry. I apologize. So, to be knowledgeable. Therefore, when a person knows between what is good and bad, then they can then they can do better judgment of committing more good than bad. So Socrates thinks or states that when people know or are knowledgeable of what good is, therefore they must act upon that good. There might be a little flaw to that knowledge, much like what Robin Hood did. Robin Hood stole from the rich, which is a crime, which does not seem as a good thing to do. But he gave it to the poor, which seemed to be a good act. So was Robin Hood good? You know, it's 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 the true. It's a question that brings a philosophical or an ethical dilemma. And in order to justify his actions, in order to make judgment of what Robin Hood did, we must be knowledgeable. And in order to be as knowledgeable, we must not depend on our senses at all. Socrates says that Plato states that we should not depend on our senses at all. Because once we depend on our senses, it's like we're being tricked. It's like we're being blinded by what the truth can potentially be, or what the truth is actually. And so, and we must also keep an open mind. You know, if we tend to be ignorant, or if we tend to avoid other knowledge, then we're just stuck. We can't progress, and we can't move on into finding that absolute truth. So, by utilizing Plato's third level of knowledge understanding, we must apply reasoning in order to achieve understanding via the use of knowledge that will yield truth with absolute certainty. So, by applying reason, or in the scenario of Robin Hood, we can state, or we can state, or we can make better judgment of if Robin Hood was absolutely good, or was he not, or was his actions absolutely bad. And so, through the usage of the third level of knowledge, by utilizing our knowledge, our intellect, we are able to find this absolute truth, or we are able to find this absolute truth to questions that seem impossible to answer. And so, these absolute truths, what are they? You know, what are these absolute truths? What are these absolute things that are unchangeable? What are these absolute things that can never be wrong? You know. Therefore comes the theory of forms, and the theory of forms means of an object, of our something of our material world, not only an object, but I'm going to reference an object in today's video. For now, I'm going to stick with object. So the absolute form of an object is unchangeable. It's indestructible. It's an idea. It's an absolute idea. It's perfection. It's it's perfection. You know, it's perfect. But nothing in our world is perfect. There's no such thing as perfection in this world. You see, when we start to utilize our senses, what happens is that we are becoming vulnerable to being tricked. You see, I see it like a magician. A magician's task is to trick the human eyes, the human being, the human mind by committing or through illusions. And the world itself is an illusion, you know? The world around us are forever changing. Trees in terms of season and through time, they're growing, their leaves fall, they grow again. Much like us. We're not always gonna be babies. We're not always gonna be infants. And we're always never gonna be like this. Eventually, hopefully, I might grow a longer beard. I might lose my hair. I might wear thicker glasses. I was never the same I was 4 or 5 minutes ago, or before I even started this video. Because things are always changing. The material world around us is always forever changing. And these absolute forms are never changing. They're these things, these ideas that are absolute. You see, let me see, like an apple. You have a red apple, you have a yellow apple, and you have a rotten apple. Because of their appearances, our eyes see that they're changing. But our mind knows that they're still apples. And what makes the difference between an apple and a pear is that because we know that they're still apples, the form of an apple, the perfection of what an apple is, we know that criteria of that certain apple. And that apple, or the perfection, the form of that apple, is always going to be there, regardless of time, regardless of our existence, because it's this idea. And so Plato brought up that the only reason why we understand these forms is because our soul is forever unchanging. It's unchangeable. It is eternal. It's like it's trapped inside a jar, which is our body. And it's the reason why we understand the world of forms, or the world of this ideal potential perfection of all things, all material things in this world. Because all material things in this world are just shadows. In the allegory of the cave, there are shadows of our own reality, of the reality of the world of forms. So there's more to what meets the eye. There's more to what we think, or to what we claim to know. There's so much more things for us to fully understand. But we can understand. We can reach these certain virtues. We can understand these forms due to our soul. the apples are the reflection of what the appleness is. And what I come to understand is that we know nothing. We humans know no single thing. I always thought I was probably I I think I'm a pretty smart, a little bit above average guy. And in my family there's this thing where they call me el que sabe todo. That person that knows everything. And this stuck to me. This lecture, this module stuck to me in understanding that I know nothing. Our existence, what it means to exist, what it means, or why do we exist? What is our reason for this existence? And how can we reach, or how can we reach this answer to why we exist? So now further on, I tend to question my existence, my reason of why I'm here. I no longer want to feed my bodily appetite. I want to do what's good. And in order for me to do what's good, I must be knowledgeable. In order for me to be knowledgeable, I must utilize reason. And through reason, I can understand myself. What is the true form of Oscar? You know? It's just a matter of time. Correct me if I'm wrong. And if I say something incorrect, please let me know. I would like to improve myself. So please let me know. I want to understand all these things, but I try to. I would love to have a discussion with you and have a one-on-one discussion. Like me personally be there face to face with you and ask you these questions, or because I can't find the form to or the ability to find the words of what I'm trying to say. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. And hopefully well, hopefully I do well, but hopefully I understand so far what the semester has covered. Thank you, and I wish you a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Thank you, and hope to meet you one day.